Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Beyond the Scoreboard. We are joined today by head coach of men's basketball at Purdue Fort Wayne, Coach Jonathan Coffman. Coach Coffman, welcome to the show.
Man, I don't know if anybody's called me Jonathan since my mom, like 25 years ago. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. And man, I had a blast talking to you at the Horizon League Media Day, and glad we could reconnect to do this and talk about, our level of college basketball right now. And this, I don't know if tumultuous is the right word, but in the transformation of college basketball, it's wild, and it's awesome. And it's terrible all in the same time. And I look forward to diving into it.
Let's pick up right where we left off at Media Day. And the question that, kind of got us started in the conversation was really around, what's the passion for you around coaching? How did you get started in this? What's the thing that's still driving you to coach right now?
Well, and we can go down a rabbit hole. There'll be 45 minutes with that. I graduated from college. I was an economics major. I went to San Francisco where my sister was a college professor, and spent the summer there. And then next thing you know, it rolled into I got a job in finance. And I did that for 2 years, and loved West Coast. I grew up in Atlanta, went to college in Virginia, loved that, but I was living my weekends. We had a bunch of my guys on our floor of the investment firm had a place in Tahoe, and I skied 69 days my last year out there. I mean, that stuff was cool. I was an outdoorsman. I love that, but I wasn't fully fulfilled. And I got lucky. I got a sabbatical at age 24. Our company got bought out. LGT Asset Management got bought out by Invesco, and got a chance to kind of take a shift. Went to Alaska for 2 months with one of the guys that had the cubicle next to me. I had my fly rod, my skis, and my mountain bike. And then I figured, all right, what am I going to do with the next phase of my life? And I decided, let's make a run at coaching. And I got a Division III assistant's job in Southwest Virginia, and it changed my life. It was in the same league I played, the ODAC, at Emory and Henry College. And I worked for Bob Johnson, who was a former Army Ranger. His dad was chief of staff of the Army during Vietnam. I had a picture of his dad on the cover of Time magazine. I'd come into the office some days, and he would just give me a book, and it might be on, leadership, it might be on business, it might be on history, and it'd be 250 pages. Be like, hey, finish this book. We're going to meet up on my back deck. We're going to smoke a cigar and have a pint and talk about life and talk about this book. And it was a PhD in leadership. And he said, you got 2 years, and then I'm going to kick you out the door, and you got to go make your own way. And there were 5 of us in a row that got their starts there. 5 of us got Division I jobs out of this tenure. And I went on to college at Charleston, then Stetson, then Colgate. And man, I've carried those lessons, that sort of renaissance, man, my whole career. And really, as a head coach, I really implanted that in, because I think if you can get your guys comfortable being uncomfortable, like, they can really, really grow. And so in our summers, we do life skills. The greatest change in college basketball is when they give us access in the summer. Now, it's really taxing, but we do 10 weeks here in the summer, and they do golf lessons, dining etiquette, ballroom dancing, networking classes. I'm bringing in lectures. We took our team to Europe. They've gone twice. And I'm not into just going to the Bahamas and playing 3 games over 4 days. We play plenty of basketball. We brought 2 professors with us. We did 6-week classes leading up to it, independent studies, talking about art, architecture, language. Go over there. Our guys present at the, Pantheon, and they learn before they go over there. And then actually I've gotten published on the course that we created going over to Europe. So it's more than just basketball. And I think players and families, if they recognize that, you have a better chance of retaining them. They will, manage adversity better because they know you care about them more than just putting the ball in the hoop. And we've been elite with our retention, which probably leads you into this, new world and transformation college basketball and what that means to you. So I'll take a deep breath and let you ask something.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to unpack there, Coach. I think let's start with recruiting, though, because it sounds like you've been able to build something that is beyond the court. And how does that impact the families and the kids that you're going after? Because you've got a very particular type of program that these kids are going to be coming into. So how do you approach recruiting?
Well, I mean, the first part is you got to be intentional. And well, I've been the head coach here for 12 years, 15 years. I've been in Fort Wayne. Never thought I'd be living in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Growing up in, uh, you know, Atlanta address. I mean, downtown. I'm just outside of Brookhaven, and so I never thought that. Yeah, and now I'm here and I love it. And so it started out basketball wise though, and I'm not going to ignore the basketball stuff. The more interesting stuff is the non-basketball, but I mean, we're number 14 in scoring over the last decade. We're number 2 in three-point field goals made over the last decade. Number 7 in three-point field goal percentage over the last decade. Top 25 in all two-point field goal percentage, effective field goals. So we've been really efficient with how we play the game. And, that starts with recruiting shooters. So you get space and we play fast. It's taken a non-sexy guy and created a sexy style of basketball. We've had 3 names since I've been here. We've been IPFW, we've been Fort Wayne, we've been Purdue Fort Wayne. So, like, how do you brand yourself? That's what I've been branding ourselves, and it's got to be a great style of play. And then all of a sudden, we have 26 pros, all league guys during my tenure here. You got a guy in the NBA, Jon Conchar, who just signed a 3-year, $30 million extension. Like, this is exciting stuff for Purdue Fort Wayne. And that starts the story because you can now sell consistency. Because most of the time when I'm recruiting against somebody, it's somebody who just took over a job, and maybe they've been really good. And you're like, well, they've been really good because they had this really good player, or they haven't been really good, but they're talking this story of how they're going to be good. They were good at this power four, but they haven't done it here, and this is their dream. And then I challenge guys, well, look at the stat sheet. They were beating people last year, but they're beating them 42-40. I don't like chess. If you want to go play chess, go there. And here you get to put up numbers and win. And we've over the last 12 years, we've had more winning seasons than anybody in the Horizon League. We're the winningest mid-major in the state of Indiana. So that consistency piece. Now, the other part of consistency, which I think you're probably steering me towards, is in the behind the scenes. And we're able to sell to mom, dad, the caring high school coach, okay, about how we can help them skip the first job to get the second job. Get the job where they're receiving coffee versus serving the coffee. Okay. And you can do that by leveraging your Division One experience. And this is where we get into the NIL world. And like, this is what's really unfortunate. And I want to scream this from the top of buildings. Like, I mean, it's NIL. Like, think about this 3 years ago. All right. Our players could not go out to breakfast, lunch, or dinner with one of our booster seasons ticket holders and talk about life after basketball. That is mind blowing. It was illegal. So when you start looking at that's how backwards the NCAA and our rules were, how antiquated we were. So now when you look, we've kind of gone full circle. We're figuring it all out. And I want to be an impact on that. I'm on the ethics committee of the NCAA. Like, I'm investing, like, I want to be a part of this positive change as we go forward. And it's funky right now. Like, we need some congressional help and we need some antitrust. And you start telling this to the average sports fan, it blows their mind. What? This is insane. But that's where we are. But here's what's good about it. So immediately, like, when this happened, my mind's like working. I was like, man, when I graduated college, my dad bought me a suit and gave me $500 and said, hey, good luck in life, son. And I was like, so I asked our suit guy, I got this custom suit guy. He's awesome. Chris Lambert, Christopher James Menswear. And he gives us custom suits for our bench and all this stuff. And, I got my logos on the inside. I've had a bunch of rebranding, so a bunch of logos. So anyway, I asked him, hey, could we get our guys graduation suits? And there was no way to do this. Get a graduation suit so our guys have an interview suit when they graduate. No way. Well, then NIL happens. We can do it. I'm like, boom, cool. We can do things we couldn't do before. Then I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to utilize our community. Like, I have these guys that, like, they want to give back to our program. They sit courtside. They love our guys. And I said, we're going to create a community mentor program. So I got 15 guys together. And I said, okay, you're each going to be partnered with a player and you're going to be challenged once a month. You connect with our players and you take them out to breakfast, lunch, or dinner, coffee, whatever it might be. And then I'm challenging you to bring another person from our community to sit down with them and teach them about other jobs and careers out there after basketball. And it turned into gold. And then what I also did is I backtracked and I said, okay, our skills that we're giving our guys. I got a woman, Karen Hickman. She comes in, does dining etiquette with our guys, so they know if they got 12 forks, they know which one to use, all that kind of stuff. But really, this is like you're going to lunch on most business meetings or interviews. Like, how do you present the best way? And then I got Anthony Giuliano from Asher Agency. And these are both really, I mean, they become like rites of passage in our program, connecting generations. And now our guys have these skill sets to be able to research and follow up with handwritten notes and go into these meetings. And so then it's 3 years removed, and I got 52, I think now, that showed up at our community mentor dinner this year to kick off the year. And I had more people that wanted to be involved than I had players. So I created teams. And then I don't know, most cities, they have these like business networking things where, hey, somebody from every industry gets together once a month, you talk about lunch, and they all support each other's businesses. It's almost turned into that. It's become into this social club to where they're investing in our guys, they're cross networking, they love this. And we start out with this dinner, and like the guy who donated the dinner for us at Salvatore's, he walked in, he'd never been a part of it, and he's like, dude, this is like the power players of Fort Wayne, and this is awesome. Like, he couldn't believe the people that are donating their time to our organization. And then we brought in and we did a networking class and dining etiquette class for this group at dinner. So you got these like multimillionaires there sitting there next to one of our players, and Karen's telling them, hey, which fork and your napkin, and when you go to the restroom, you put it on the back of your seat. And it was awesome, and then they did like some activities there, and it just got organic. And I'm really proud of what that's turned into. And then on the other side, what's happened is when you put names, faces, and personalities in front of your community members and they represent you well, these people want to invest. And so it's now they're doing more. They're setting up these networking meetings for me. And so it's helping our NIL as we grow it.
So
And
when you're in the living room with a family and you're telling them about all of this great opportunity to be thinking about life after basketball before they even start playing, how much do you have to balance that out with what NIL opportunities are, or what that conversation is?
well, and I don't know how other people are doing. I just know what fits my personality. And I've been very intentional, and I want to stay the same with how why would I change? We've been successful and we have a great brand in our city. It helps that we beat Indiana when they're ranked number 3 in the country a few years ago, and then double down, beat them the next year at their place by 20, 92-72. That helped. You win a couple league championships, that helps. But we've been consistent. And so when I created our NIL world, it was a slow play and it was a long play. I was intentional with it. And that's where I was like, okay, how does this fit into, like, we're a very conservative Midwest town. There's this new world of paying players. How does this fit in? Now, we've always paid players. They've had a scholarship. They've had stipends. Some of these guys, they're getting 9 pairs of shoes. We had 8 uniforms last year. There's all this cool stuff that I've worked into our program, people donating and to do this. We run our casino night, which I told you, as I'm losing hair right now because it's this weekend. It's our lifeblood of our program. So we're doing all this stuff. But as I was looking, I was like, what is the value of one of our players? And obviously, every coach can be, well, the pride, the community pride. And when we beat Indiana, it touched 285 million people. And, everybody talks about, the Butler effect, the Gonzaga effect. I was at college at Charleston. I mean, it affects admissions, your academics. No doubt. That's awesome. And that has something prideful in our city. Okay. Now, the next thing that it really can affect, which I think can be really consistent, and you can hang your hat on it, so empowering, is that they can be community mentors in youth organizations, like for young people. And we'd always done community service. Our guys were reading in 3rd grade classes with Real Men Read with Big Brothers Big Sisters. I lost my mother 18 years ago to cancer. We do American Cancer Society Coaches versus Cancer Clinic for young kids. So we're doing all of this stuff. But then I'm like, okay, if we create these stipends and I partner with businesses to support this, we will partner with businesses to do community service on their behalf. I'm like, I can swallow that. if I'm a person that I'm a sports fan, but I don't really care if Purdue Fort Wayne is winning a Horizon League title, but I wanted to keep being successful. But so like, how do we support all this stuff? Well, let's get our guys out in the community, and I put on steroids. So then Big Brothers Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Club, Renaissance YMCA, youth programs, our guys did 400 hours last year. All right, during the summer, we're heavy impact. 3 days a week, 3 guys at each of these youth organizations. And what happens is our guys are giving back to the community. They're building these relationships. We had 100 scholarships coming to our camp from underprivileged kids. And it's awesome. What's happened is our guys are learning how to be future philanthropists, and they're enjoying the process, and they're giving back to the community. And these businesses can digest this, and they'll sponsor us with, marketing money and that, and we'll post some things on that. And some of us philanthropic, they can be like, okay, I can digest this. And it's not just about winning. I also digest it. I'm never going to be able to buy a player. There's always going to be somebody who's going to be able to pay more. Okay. And I'm okay with that, but I love paying players. I got no problem with that. I mean, the perks are guys in our city from, we got a couple guys with cars. You talk about restaurants. I got gentleman James Kahn who owns 3 of the best restaurants in our city. You want to go to Baker Street? It's a $75 steak. Like, man, that's awesome. He started from very little and loves to tell the story, and comes in, talks to our guys, and loves what they're doing in the community. Our guys are getting, $100 a month to go get the best steak in the city once a month. And they can go to all 3 of his restaurants. And we're getting huge stipends towards this. And it's because of what they're doing off the court. And so it's created this really cool lifestyle in our city. Like, parents can come in, they got hotel rooms for them set up for their parents so they can afford these things, whereas they couldn't afford to maybe come watch their kid and stay overnight that night. So this stuff's been really, really cool. I'm excited about the world that we've gone to, and it's been about giving back to our community.
Well, it seems that you've been able to take this, I'll call it freedom that the current college business environment has created, and you've been able to create an environment with your program that attracts a certain type of student athlete, certain type of family, but you've been able to leverage that to create this wonderful program. One of the questions I have is this because of the current environment that has been created around NIL, around rev share? Is it the relationships you have with your AD, with your president? How did this perfect environment come about in which you're able to leverage what so many people look at it as a negative moment in time in college sports? NIL era ruined college, sports is what.
Well, and all of the above. And I'll start out like my athletic director, the 2 chancellors that I've worked for, they've believed in what we're doing. And, we won early in my tenure, which obviously helps you, but I've gotten long-term deals. And so when coaches get long-term deals, particularly at our level, you don't have to take a problem to get a win. Like you can make the right decisions because it's not all about winning. And what happens there is when you're not manic, because that's what you see in college sports all the time, this manic behavior. Like, we're dealing with 18 to 23-year-olds. Now you throw money into it, and now you can transfer and play right away. So if, like, it's created a world that is built for place, and if you have a belief in doing things the right way and you give coaches that ability, it's amazing what you can do. And so I'll give a shout out to Chancellor Alonzo Mommer and Kelly Hartley Hutton, my AD, who's been with me this entire time. And she's was a Division I volleyball coach before she became our AD, and so gets it. And that's been really, really impactful. The other piece is that they've trusted me, and trust is earned. You got to have, if you can show a discipline to what you do, you then earn the trust, and that trust allows you freedom. So that's what's happened. I've gone through this. I talk about that with my team all the time. Like, hey, you want to play free? Yeah, well, you got to be disciplined, and that's how you get the freedom. It's just not given to you. And so that's what's happened. And so I like the creativity of it. and I'm having fun finding solutions, and that's where it's probably the business mindset of me. Hey, how do you find a solution to this? IPFW when I got here was not built to win, not consistently. And I've been given some freedom to have some creativity, and then I've had a great community. And this is where I think we got a gap to steal some market space right now. Like in Fort Wayne, and I don't know, like everybody's got their different markets, but we're 400,000 people. And I don't know, have you ever been to Fort Wayne, Cody?
Media Day was my first time in Indiana, the
In
state.
Indiana. Yeah, and they love basketball now. Like basketball's crazy. I mean, Newcastle High School has 12,000 seats. Like it's crazy. I mean, I think it's like 15 of the 16 largest high school gyms in the country are in our state. Like they love basketball. Okay. Now the other piece is like we don't have like a pro team, like an NBA team. Like we have minor league sports. We had the G League here for a long time. It was awesome. Shared our arena with them. Comets, our hockey, Tin Caps, our Padres single A organization, like awesome minor league sports. But in our league, you got these pro cities, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Detroit, Indy. And so they have NBA, NFL, all these things kind of draining that are pulling interest. We're at the highest level in our city. So healthcare providers, like it's amazing the services. We have Power Force services giving to us. But then also these people like they can be an IU fan, they can be a Butler fan, they can be a Notre Dame fan, Purdue fan, and like they can still be a Fort Wayne fan. I mean, when we beat Indiana, 2/3 of it was red, but like at the end of that game in overtime, like people are happy for us. They're rooting for us. I mean, it's been a cool experience, okay, in our city. So that's been really cool. And we're trying to steal that market space right now. And with the privatization of sports, what's kind of cool for me in that pitch is like, so some of these individuals who are wealthier in our city, you say, hey, my clock's ticking. I'm 52. Like your clock's ticking. Like, why wait? Like, let's make this city great. There's talk of downtown arenas. There's all this exciting stuff. Like, let's go. And you can now help invest in that with the privatization of it, which is really an exciting thing. And if they know you're going to do it the right way and bring in the right kids, and that's the other piece is when you're intentional about what you do. So what I learned early on, I would sell our place to try and get a player. Okay, which is what good coaches do, right? You got to identify what's going to get them to attend your school, right? But sometimes you can be a salesman and you can steer them to what you want them to believe, but then they get there and it's not necessarily exactly the reality, right? And early on, I realized you can make this out like on how you sell. And then if they're not really happy there, it's not what you told them, like that's not going to be sustainable, not going to work out. And you're seeing kids moving around with that. What I've done is, man, I mean, and I'm good at selling, but I sell what we do and I don't shy away from it. And I talk about our community mentor program. I talk about our life skills. I talk about skipping the first job to get a second job. And then guess what? The people that buy what you're selling, they're happy when they're there. And when adversity strikes, you recognize, hey, this is why you're here. Like, it's not just about basketball. Like, I got to keep, nudging our guys. Hey, call your parents, tell them about all the good things that are happening. Because what happens is, when I was at Stetson, we were running overnight camp. We never had a parent issue until we started allowing the kids to bring their cell phones to camp. And then as soon as it's instant gratification. Mom, Joey stole my pillow, or stole my fruit snacks, and then all of a sudden we got moms calling us on the phone. And so now, like, you got to really encourage them. Hey, tell your parents all these good things. So like the first time, like, I sub you after you hit 2 threes accidentally, you know, you're not calling your mom being like, coach doesn't have a feel for the game. And they're like, coach, you don't have a feel for the game. They like, hey man, coach is like taking care of like this is awesome. Like I make a lot of mistakes and it helps you go through that.
It sounds like one of the pieces of the equation that makes this work for you is this word consistency. You've been at Purdue Fort Wayne for 12 years, and you had an administration who's been have they been there the whole time with you? All 12 years?
So two chancellors,
Two chancellors.
three if you include I was an assistant for 3 years. So I've had three chancellors since I've been here. But I've had one AD as a head coach
Okay.
who hired me.
Awesome. So this seems like one of the other challenges that's happening in college sports right now, not just on the player side, but on the coach and administrative side as well, is that turnover doesn't allow for the roots, and particularly something that you built, right? Like where it's these are relationships you've got to develop over time with the community. You got to get families bought in, and then you got to get the kids once they're there to continue to buy in to what you're doing, and that consistency part seems to be the secret formula. So I guess the bigger question here, coach, is what you've built, can it be replicated at with even within different sports within your school? How do you think about that, about replicating your model?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Takes it takes, consistent leaders above you to give you that sort of timing and long-term contracts. To be able to do that. But then and it takes creativeness to be able to do it. I think like so my wife Tracy is a college coach as well, of 20 years, college softball. We met at Stetson. Uh, she was a much better coach than me. She quickly went from Stetson, where they were top 35, to UCF, where they were top 25. Had an All-American pitcher, and went from ASUN to a Conference USA, won a title there, and then we started. We had children, and that became a challenge. And so then she dropped down to a Division III coach at Hamilton College, and started an NAI program at UNOH in Northwest Ohio, and like so having coaching in our family has been awesome because he gives me the cliff notes. I don't have time all the time, and she's really impactful at that. She's actually going back and getting her master's in counseling, going to be in sports psych now, kind of making a transition. She loves the mental side of the game. It's really cool. But we talk about that, and we've loved the lifestyle. The other piece is like probably part of our consistency is like we've made sacrifices for each other so we both could coach. So that's been part of like, okay, this job, is that really an advancement if you're not doing what you love doing? And then, along the path, we, looked at our kids, and I always thought I'd be a high school coach. The person that impacted my life more than anybody other than my parents was my high school coach, Ron Bell at Marist High School in Atlanta. And I mean, he built a juggernaut in this sports juggernaut school. And like, I mean, just so impactful on me. And that's what I thought I'd do. Well, he created this lifestyle of coaching, which was awesome. And then so did Bob Johnson, who I worked for at Emory and Henry College. So when I got the head coaching job, I had this mantra, and we've been let go at Colgate. And Emmett Davis, who I worked for, was the winningest coach in school history. His family was a pinnacle of Hamilton, New York. Like they ran all of the youth programming. And I loved how they created this lifestyle with that. But you also recognize, man, it's short, like a year or two in the wrong direction, and like they'll move you along. It's a business from that side of it. And so 3 years after having a staff that got let go, I get this opportunity. And part of it started when I was an assistant because I was 40 years old. I'm a low major assistant coach. We're taking over. And like I came in there and I digested, like, why do I want to do this still? Like I could go back and get in finance and make a lot more money and have a simpler lifestyle. And I was like, I love working with young people. And my wife loves it. And we're just like, hey, let's make this job the one we want to be in the rest of your life. Now could I be a low major assistant? Yeah, probably. All right. Like my wife is really, really frugal. And so when I became the head coach, I said, make this job the one you want to be in the rest of your life by investing in the community, by creating sustainable things, by being intentional. I've created these relationships. And that's where Tracy and I are. My son is a junior at Bishop Dwanger high school, and crushing it in sports. And like he got to go to the same elementary school, middle school, now high school. My daughter's eighth grader, going to do the same thing. Like not many Division I coaches can brag about that. And every time I've asked for extensions, all I do is I've never asked for a dollar. I just say, hey, get my, son through high school. Then it was get my daughter through high school. Now it'll be, get my son through college. Then my daughter, and so that's been cool.
What do you think the next few years look like? What's the story of college basketball over the next few years? Where is this headed? There's obviously a lot of challenges right now, a lot of uncertainty, not a lot of leadership that's setting the stage. And honestly, I think it gives a lot of opportunity for folks like you to build something in this space that wasn't here before and allows you to differentiate. But what's the story of the next couple years of college basketball going to be?
Well, I mean, you doing this podcast and like being able to tell the stories of community mentors, of networking, of opening up those graduation suits, of increasing lifestyles for some kids that maybe families couldn't go visit before. We have financial planners that are sitting down with our guys. Some are making, real money, at a young age, and some are just, getting a little bit, but learning how to have a passion stock and how to save. And like in 7 years, it's going to double. I mean, it's going to make some of these young men who do it the right way, and they're not making super big money, but they do it the right way, learning, early on, they're going to become millionaires at age 40 because they just learned how to save and they're learning how to do taxes and they're giving coaches like me an avenue to teach them about life lessons. Money can help you do that. So there's value in that. And then we're breeding here like future philanthropists. So if you can tell these stories and you have people out there that are like my AD and my chancellor who want to win, trust me, they want to win. Like it helps our university, helps our city, but they're giving coaches long-term deals so that you know, they can breathe in this environment, and they can support them and they're not manic. Like that's awesome. We need that. I think there's a lot of stresses and you're going to see coaches that get out, which is unfortunate. And so that's where you're losing some people. And I hope some of the people coming up are envisioning the positives with that. The other stresses, and we saw it on our campus, is we unfortunately got rid of softball, where my wife was coaching, and baseball. And this is an impact of minor sports and things like that. There's just not enough funding to manage it all. This is also the lowest population of kids going to college during the same time. So talk about stresses of finances. That's super impactful in it. So it's a complicated deal, and we need people that are intentional investing in it. And we need communities investing in it. Like we need it. You need some private money going into this stuff. And then we need some congressional help. And that's where I think getting a united front, and college sports are not doing a great job of that right now. Our leaders, I'll be honest with you, coming up with what is the message that you share with the people that can really impact Congress. And it may be mind blowing to hear that, but you need some antitrust exemptions to be able to get us to some of that place. But in the meantime, as we go through that, there are all these avenues of positivity. And if you have people that are doing business that have ethics, doing it the right way, not over promising, all right, and not taking advantage of young people within this, I think you'll see some more consistency with kids staying because they still want to play basketball and sports, you know, and they want to be held accountable. Kids do. They want to be coached and they don't want to just run from adversity. And that's where you're going to have some of these unfortunately negative lessons and experiences and stories out there of kids that wasted their careers chasing things. And that's unfortunate because their careers will be lost, but it will pay forward to the ones that stay and find consistency. And we've always had good transfers in our program, and there's nothing wrong with being a transfer. Like we've had really good ones that man, we were the right fit on the second round, and man, their careers have gone like this from basketball wise and just life and giving back. But there's really cool stuff out there, and just keep sharing the positive stories because yes, education is the most important. And education comes in a bunch of different ways. Some is in the classroom, some is in the life skills of experiences. And that's where we're giving experiences with that. So I'm excited to be a part of it and a part of positive change. I hope to be doing this for a long time. And I hope that more ADs and chancellors and presidents will treat their coaches like mine of me, because it's been awesome. And I hope that if you invest in your cities, like it's been awesome. I mean, I'm darting to a meeting right after this. It's our fall break. I practice tonight at 7. Our guy's been gone for 2 days. I've had meeting with community members, trying to raise money, raise fans, trying to keep growing. I mean, I bet I spend probably 60% of my time doing that stuff now versus a coaching. And then the power of having really consistent assistant coaches has been cool too. I mean, I got guys, man, they should be head coaches right now. I got a guy who's been with me 15 years, another guy 8, another guy 7. I mean, they are awesome. And I've empowered them to get to like I drop practice. I spend, an hour and a half putting together practice. I coach them for 45 minutes on what I want taught, and then they coach it. And I just watch back, quality control, kind of watching, and they get to really coach the game. And that's been really cool for them. Like they're ready because they've coached the game. And when they give me advice, man, I listen because they've been. So having, consistent staff, I couldn't do it with a bunch of newcomers. That would be hard. I mean, we'd figure out a way, but it's hard. I got great staff, so good people help you.
With that, Coach Coffman, you've definitely figured something out, and you're building something, and have built something remarkable in Fort Wayne. I think the wins and losses, yes, they matter. They matter for the business of it. But I think what we're so excited to continue to watch what's happening with your program is these student athletes, when they lose the hyphen, right? And they're alumni now. I mean, they've gone through your program, and then what they're building within their communities after they've graduated is what we're excited to continue to watch. And we think, what you're building is the model of what people need to replicate. I think this is part of what, helps us get through this era of no one knowing what the hell's going on. Is you need consistent ethical leadership that's steering these folks in the right way. And I commend
And
your,
and Cody, I'll jump in there. Like you are right on with that. And when you talked about connecting the generations, like I did that early on. I connected from the coaches before me, and we kept some pieces that they did so those coaches could come back. I mean, I got Doug Noll, our first Division I head coach. Dane Fife was before, Tony Jasic. These guys really impact the growth. Like I'm just a part of this school story, and we've gotten there, and we've taken the next steps. But what has been really cool with these generations is now that I've connected with our community, they want to come back. Like my all-time leading scorer, he came here because he was engineer, wanted to be an engineer. He was an Eagle Scout, big time player out of Atlanta, and comes here because of engineering. Didn't end up being in engineering, ended up being IT, becomes our all time leading scorer. And he spent almost all summer with us. We're training him, no fees. I want him back, impacting our current young men. He's networking every night. Like he's going out to eat with these guys that he networked with because he's got a plan when his pro career is over overseas. He knows he's going to skip the first job to get the second job here in our city. So he's going out to eat with these guys. And then he runs a basketball camp. And I make my guys, I'm like, hey, the Jared Godfrey basketball camp. So my guys go and work it for free. And then he comes back and goes, Coach, we're doing an alumni camp next summer. I'm going to have all the guys back, and then Damian Chanqui, my guard who won a league title with Jared in 22, came back. He had first time, he's like a legend in China now, 2.5 years, hadn't come back to the States, came back to Fort Wayne with his girlfriend. I thought he was going to stay for 4 days. It's been 3.5 weeks. And he's like, this is home for him. He's doing the same thing every night, going out to eat with different people. Went up to the lake with me too, because go spend time with me. Like he's going to live in Fort Wayne after college basketball. And when I tell these people in our community that, they're like, man, it's like the reverse brain drain. Like we're bringing people into Fort Wayne and and they're going to impact our city. And that's where, like, I came from a bigger city. Like I grew up in Atlanta. I rolled into Fort Wayne, Indiana, and my best players, like we recruited like 4 all league players from Florida, a Legionnaire, direct flight, $65 a direction from Sanford Airport up here. Well, they didn't have preconceptions of misconceptions of this Division II transitional school. They just said, man, Fort Wayne's cool. This arena that the Pistons played in back in the day is cool. This school is beautiful. And like now these guys, it's paying forward, and we're bringing these people into our city. And that's where my pitch is. I'm fundraising. Okay. And I get to have these conversations because I'm a basketball coach, which makes it insane. Like the people I get to meet with in our city, like it's awesome. Well, what I do though is I talk about we're the front door to our university. And when you drive downtown, all right, and you go across the MLK bridge, like there are cranes everywhere. And I yell this, like those cranes are screaming Purdue Fort Wayne. We're the largest, regional public school in our area. Like I was at Greater Fort Wayne Inc. and this is the business. I'm sitting with like the biggest business people in the community at this table. They invited me. I'm the basketball coach. That's insane, right? And they tell us, hey, we're 5,000 jobs short over the next decade, like per year. And I'm like, man, And I just keep screaming this. You got to invest more. You got to demand more of our university and invest more in our university. We got to create more degrees that fit with our university, and we got to like build up our school. And so that selling that pitch, I'm working in unison with my chancellor and my AD and our professors to try and get people to come in. And it just happens, hey, you may invest in our our basketball program through NIL and through, the community service stuff, but then all of a sudden you become a fan. You got a sweatshirt and you went to Notre Dame or you went to Purdue or you went to IU, but then you're a Fort Wayne person. Now you're like, man, I got to help the university. Like, I don't want to drive 3 hours to go watch a game. And you become a fan, and then they're helping our university. So that piece, like, if coaches can buy into that piece and what you really are to the university, I think it helps us all too. Because then all of a sudden you can understand that investment we're asking people to do.
Well, I think that to me the thing that's nailing all this down is the fact that you've got a chancellor and an AD who've allowed you the time, but also that they concurrently are building this culture where that enables a basketball coach to go out and be the ambassador of the university because you've been there for 12 years. If you're 2, 3 years on the job, like you don't have that relationship yet. You're not as deep into the hierarchy of the university, but those long-term contracts matter.
I do, and that's where, like, my agent told me 3 years ago, and then last year, and then this year, we've won more games per budget dollar than anybody in the country. And, hey,
That's
my
a great
AD and
stat.
chancellor, like, they should look at that and be like, "Hey, win-win, man. That's awesome." That's the goal. Be efficient, right?
Yeah.
Now, I told my agent, I said, "Hey, you're not doing a very good job." And I'm a little crazy, right? But like, we've lived a great lifestyle, and that's where, like, I want to coach. And so you make those decisions. Like, if you really want coach, I've watched so many friends that, like, hey, it's like what I'm telling a player. I sit down, I'm like, hey, like, if you're making a decision, my university or that university, $10,000, right? Okay, let's really look at that. Okay, $10,000. Well, you can pay taxes. So that's, whatever, $3,500, 4,000 in taxes, right? Kids are like, oh man. And all of a sudden now you got some of these agents. It's crazy. Like, 20%. Now, hopefully we're going to get back. So now all of a sudden you're getting $4,000, spread that over the next 40 years. That's $1,000 a decade. Like, why are you making a decision off of that? You start to digest it. Same way as a college coach. How do you digest it? If you really want to coach, like if you can find a place that they allow you to do that, you can live a great lifestyle. It's cool, man. I'm a roll down by the gas station, walk in there, and they'd be like, "Hey, coach, what's up?" You know, there's value to that too. And being the coach of a cool city is pretty. I'm blessed.
Well, we appreciate you taking an hour out of your day because we know you got casino night, you got some film to watch, you got a program that is humming right now in a season that's just about to kick off. So we appreciate you giving us some time, Coach, and diving in. We're excited to get this one on the air because I think there's so much that folks can learn about how to build a program that is actually winning both on and off the court from following what you're doing in Fort Wayne. So we appreciate it, Coach.
Man, it's really cool being in college athletics. You don't see her right now, but sitting underneath my desk, I got game day, our dog. I'm like, we're all in on sports in the Coffman family, and so appreciate you let me tell a little bit about my story.
All right, thanks, Coach.